At a white plantation, a well-dressed black man was whipping a white overseer with a leather whip. The black slaves watching nearby felt satisfied inside, but didn't dare show any excitement. Years of enslavement made it impossible for them to believe a black man born into slavery would dare whip a white person. The black man's name was Django, and he used to be a slave under this overseer. To gain freedom, he once tried to escape with his wife, but the overseer caught them. Django begged on his knees, willing to take all the punishment, if the overseer would just spare his wife. But the overseer deliberately separated them, selling one to the south, and one to the north, so they'd never see each other again. However, on Django's way to the north, a dentist suddenly appeared. He asked everyone if they knew the Karukan plantation. Looking at this stern-faced black man, the dentist asked if he knew the Brittle brothers from the plantation. Those three men were Django's nightmare, and he'd recognize them even if they turned to dust. The dentist knew he'd found the right person, and told the slave trader he'd pay top dollar for Django, but the trader refused to sell, and told him to get lost. Seeing the man's tough attitude, the dentist didn't waste words, and just shot the slave trader dead. The dentist didn't treat Django like a slave, but let him ride on horseback as his companion. The townspeople were completely shocked to see this. They couldn't believe that in an age of widespread slavery, a black man could actually ride a horse. The dentist didn't care at all, and even brought Django into a whites-only bar. The bartender was stunned.
Whoa, 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 whoa! What the hell you think you're doing, boy? Get that nigger out of here!
The bartender scrambled to report to the authorities. Meanwhile, the dentist gave Django his first beer as a free man. This was the first time he felt respected as a human being. The sheriff who arrived saw only two people, so he walked out of the bar and started showing off in front of the whole town. But before he could finish talking, the dentist walked right up to him and shot him dead without saying a word. Then he calmly told everyone else to call the marshal. Soon the marshal arrived with a large group of men and surrounded the bar. It looked like the two had no way out, but the dentist stayed completely calm, like he was looking for something. Finally, the two walked out with their hands raised, and he pulled out a wanted poster. Turns out the dead sheriff was a fugitive who'd been on the run for 2.5 years, and the dentist was a legal bounty hunter authorized by the court.
In other words, Marshal, you owe me $200.
The marshal had no choice but to let them go. Next, the dentist told him the three brothers were now working as overseers at a plantation. For Django to get into the plantation, he'd need a disguise, starting with some decent clothes. The dentist let him pick his own outfit, which left Django a bit confused. As a slave, he'd never had the right to choose anything for himself.
He's gonna let me pick out my own clothes?
Yeah, but of course.
Soon they arrived at the Karukan plantation. The slaves couldn't believe what they were seeing when they saw Django on horseback. Not only was a black man riding a horse, he was dressed so magnificently.